A few unexpected garden events have happened. So we were documenting how we were flattening out the current pile of chip drop that we had on the property. It was right there. Now, as you can see, it's nice and flat. Not 2 days later, a huge truck backs up into my garden, and I'm looking out the window like, what is going on right now? I had family over and everything. Sure enough, it was another chip drop. The reason why this took me by surprise is just because, which it wasn't a total surprise because I obviously placed the order. I have gotten many chip drops in the past, and I've never gotten a chip drop this quickly. One time it actually took like 8 months to get a chip drop, so you really never know when you're gonna get one. In my mind, I think, okay, every time we spread one out, just place another order. It's gonna take a few months, then you'll have another one, and then the cycle just continues. So at our property, mulch is essential to our homestead. We utilize a deep mulching method for no-till, no-dig. We don't use any type of garden fabrics or anything like that. We just really heavily mulch, suffocate the weeds for 1 or 2 seasons, and just continue the process so that we have some more flexibility and we're just enriching the actual soil over time. We're not going to actually spread this out before the spring garden has started. We're just going to end up keeping that there. And the good thing is I plan on really, once we have reset the beds, put plants in the beds, I'm going to mulch all around those plants very heavily because I don't want to have such a grass problem that I had last year. We had grass tubers constantly. You would pull all of the weeds and the next day they're just completely back. So as a way to fight off that problem, I'm going to deep mulch the actual garden beds as well and not keep that soil exposed to the sun so that weeds and things like that can thrive. So it's a good thing now. The next unexpected thing is we got our huge delivery of mushroom compost. This is also 20 cubic yards. The reason why I say this is unexpected, although it also was not, is because I wasn't expecting it this early. We got it literally by the skin of our teeth, by the grace of God. I say that because the day that I messaged the vendor to get the mushroom compost was the last day that this company is ever going to do mushroom compost. The actual factory is closing down. It was so sad. It was such a tragedy to hear that this company is closing down. And I say that because we have purchased compost from them for well over 10 years at this point, which is crazy to even think. We were living in the city. We figured out that this place existed and we were just like filling up our whole backyard with tons of soil. That's when I first got the garden bug. I was obsessed and I was like, I need to get out of the city and I need to get some land and start like homesteading. Anyways, there's lots of fond memories attached to this with my husband and I, and like the early stage of our relationship, just kind of building something because we wanted more for our backyard. We used to actually go and get it ourselves. It was $10 a truckload. It was so affordable. Then at some point they stopped allowing regular people just to drive up and get the compost, and they made it so it was only exclusively vendors. So then we started having to purchase it from vendors, and it was, oh my gosh, much more expensive than the $10 a truckload that we would purchase it from. So I reached out to this other lady I knew who also was a vendor there and does mushroom compost delivery, and she said that today is the last day ever that you're going to be able to purchase this mushroom compost because the actual factory is closing, which is so heartbreaking to hear because I feel, one, awful for the factory, obviously, and they were providing such an amazing resource for the local gardeners in the surrounding area. Something motivated me to reach out to her that day and get that delivery. Otherwise, we would have seriously been up a creek for spring. I realize now I don't want to be in that position moving forward. I put myself in a vulnerable position, really relying on outside resources, and now I know that I want to start sourcing our own compost, creating our own compost here on the property, and really to get the size of compost or the volume of compost that we need, I need to start now to prepare for next year. So it's a good thing when you think of it that way. We have pushed off a lot of different projects because we've been in the process of having babies and raising children and having more babies, and we've just pushed off a lot of projects. But in 2024, I want this to be our year to accomplish a lot of different projects, and creating a compost situation is number one on the list. There was one season where we didn't use this particular compost that I trust. We used a different vendor, completely different soil, and we filled up all of the beds with this particular compost. And the beds, as a result, we were seeing weeds and plants that we had never seen on our property before. So they weren't native to the typical weeds that we would see. And every single bed was absolutely filled with weeds. After that experience, I felt like burned. It was so much more extra work to control that situation. And I've also heard of people who have gotten soil and it was infiltrated with even worse things, such as different herbicides and things like that. And we ended up having to cover all of the beds with really heavy layers of cardboard. And we also had to do a really heavy layer of mulch followed by healthy compost to suffocate that problem and make it so that it wasn't an issue. Which is another really big reason why I promote no-till, because when you're tilling the garden, you are bringing up weeds to the surface, the seeds that otherwise would just be kind of buried down, and you're sometimes making a situation worse than otherwise. I know everybody's garden is so different, and some people have more heavy clay soils, and that just might be the only way to do it. Here, I just really believe in just doing layer on top of layer to suffocate the weeds from the last season. Now today, the biggest thing I'm going to get accomplished is getting these flower beds completely filled. I have my poppy flowers have all sprouted, which is super exciting because you just never know. You just never know in the garden what is going to work, even if you are doing everything right. All of my poppy flowers right here completely sprouted. On top of these sprouts, I'm also going to put more poppy flowers in these beds. So these front beds are just going to be exclusively flower beds, and I like to do that because flowers reseed themselves so efficiently that if you put them in the big beds, sometimes you're going to maybe have certain plants in there that you didn't intend to have in there. And I just like season after season kind of seeing like the just like the hodgepodge of flowers that decide to sprout that year. It becomes more interesting season after season. So we're going to start out with just poppy flowers this particular spring season, and I'll probably put a few sunflowers like maybe towards the back. That way, as I'm walking through the garden, it's just kind of inviting us with flowers, and it's going to look, I like the garden to be really inviting. Just broke. Hello. Thank you. Both beds are officially filled. I think I'm gonna let the beds sit for a few days before putting any type of seeds in it because it's really ripe. I don't wanna burn the seeds or burn the new sprouts that I have just sprouted for the poppy plants, which are right here, looking absolutely lovely. I'm gonna come back out here and sow those seeds in a few days. And that's it for the day. So thanks for hanging out with me today and watching me get some garden chores done. If you guys have any comments or anything like that, I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, bye.